Okay, guys, it is time for Terran Platinum 2. Platinum 2, Terran. How you doing? How you doing, everybody? How you doing? We're playing a Protoss right now. He's drunk. He's a dank Templar. Drunk. Platinum 2, guys. Platinum 2. Now, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hey, how you doing? How's your day going? Hope you're having a good night, good day, good afternoon, whatever, wherever you are in the world. We are going to be continuing our methods of platinum level stuff. And just as a little bit of a refresher here as we get into this, platinum level priorities are carrying everything over from bronze, silver, gold. Yeah, good luck, have fun. Everything carries over from bronze, silver, gold, which is our priorities. And then,
not enough minerals.
After the priorities, all we're adding on is all we're doing right now in Platinum League, after adding on everything we already know up to this point, all we're adding on now is we're adding on more intelligent breakdowns of what you scout. And we're trying to make everything once again a little bit more efficient than it was before. And that's it. So everything accumulates up to this point. So again, if you're someone who's watching this right now and you're like, you know what, ViBE, I'm Plat 2. I'm not wasting time watching your bronze videos. Dude, I highly recommend, if you have time and you also want to get better at StarCraft, I highly recommend you do go watch previous videos. Because there's lots of useful information in those videos that does still apply to people. It's habits that you will maintain even though you are a high level player at this game. It's just learning how to develop those habits from a low level. So it's like you focus on it from the beginning. You don't just start trying to adopt a whole brand new mindset when you're already masters. Okay, so this guy doesn't have a building at his base. So it's a bit scary.
Not enough minerals.
So what we're going to do now, we are going to make that Reaper. I am going to scout a little bit more around his base. We're going to make a nice second command center. Let's go ahead and make a depot.
Not enough minerals.
Yep. Bad news.
It's very likely he's proxying me right now. So we don't see anything at this guy's base. Let's go back into his main.
Command center.
Okay, there's a nexus. So now we know. We know there's no serious threat coming at us. We should be fine.
Go ahead.
It's actually just built behind his mineral line.
Butter by a biscuit.
Okay, so game is stabilized. Let's send our SCV back home.
SCV ready.
And let's go ahead and not worry about this pylon. Let's send our Reaper across the map. We can lift off our barracks. It's not that big of a deal. Put it over here. Or right there even.
SCV ready.
And just keep the build going. So we made, the only difference was we made the command center on the high ground because we weren't sure if he was actually going to proxy all in me or not. That's all we wanted to know. Now we're going to go scout his base again. We're going to jump into it and we're going to just see what's happening. Get like reads on like the second gas. Okay, so we got a Twilight Council and 2 gateways. There's still no second gas,
Add-on complete.
but there is a Twilight Council. So that tells us a lot. That tells us this player is probably going to go into something that is charge lots, adepts, DTs, or blink stalkers. I would say for it to make sense, it's going to be something that is lighter on the gas. It's not going to be something that's heavier on the gas. And why is that? Because he still only has 1 gas. So what out of those things, what are gas light options that Protoss has? And the answer to that would honestly be adepts and charge lots. I would expect something in this game to be something like adepts or charge lots. Blink stalkers is not gas light. Blink stalkers is a more expensive gas route.
Command center.
And DTs is even more expensive. Yeah, let's go ahead and siege our tank. We can send our Reaper back into his base again and keep making SCVs.
Landing zone.
We can also throw it on our next command center because we know he expanded and we have the money to afford it, so let's just throw it down. Let's also go ahead and throw down our engineering bay and our armory.
Insufficient. Add-on complete.
Okay, so he is attacking me and there's zealots coming to my base right now.
SCV ready.
So let's raise our depot. Let's keep making
Not
Hellions
enough
and stuff.
minerals. Not enough minerals.
If we have to, we can just lift the command center off. It's fine.
SCV ready. Up, ready to go.
We can siege our other tank. Make some more depots.
Ready to raise some hell.
Not
SCV ready.
We repair that depot in the front of my base, but yeah, we're fine.
additional supply
Problem solved, right?
depots required.
Problem solved. He killed one of my my things. One of my depots up in the front of my base, so it supply blocked me for a second, but we're good again. We fixed it. We're still making SCVs. We're looking good.
Lay it on me. Ah, you scared me.
And now, honestly, I would say, let's go ahead and just start going into Thor's. We seem fine. We just repelled his attack. His natural was later than ours,
Not enough minerals.
and he also went for a nice
Complete.
rushed Twilight Council timing, and it didn't do the best with the charge lots. So we kind of like analyzed what he was doing and prepared for it, which is something as simple as, oh, we'll just make a wall with some tanks behind it and Hellions, and we were good to go. Yo, thank you for the sub, Fear of Code. Thank you, dude. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And also, Stay Dusted, thank you as well. Welcome to the VFam as well, dude. Boys, appreciate the subs. Okay, he's attacking me again. Just attack his dudes with my, attacking the area. And keep making SCVs, guys.
SCV ready.
Keep producing everything we can.
Big job, huh?
And my money's getting a bit high, so let's make a couple more factories.
SCV ready.
Let's go ahead and take our third. Because our mineral line's like fully saturated and we're good. Let's also go ahead and start another base. We can start a fourth base right now.
Go ahead.
Not enough. Insufficient Vespine gas.
And just keep producing. Yo, G-Rain, thank you for the 31 months, man. Thanks for the bronze gym. Thank you for supporting the stream for so fucking long, dude. God damn. Thank you. More gates. We got ourselves a forge. We still only have one gas. That gas, once again, reinforces this dude is probably going to keep going mass zealots. So you know what that means? Here's a good idea. Let's make 2 reactors now. We're going to make an intelligent choice here. We're going to react to what we just saw.
Insufficient
Instead of
Vespine
going
gas.
for more gas like Thor's right now,
Vespine gas.
let's just go into more Hellions and turn them all into Hellbats for now. And we're like, if we're expecting to deal with a shitload of Zealots, lots of Hellions will make a lot of sense to deal with that. Like, it'll just kind of shut it down. This doesn't mean we can't make more factories, but it just means our priority initially is going to be more Hellbat based because it looks like mass Zealots because there's a lack of gas. We can also get Blue Flame because he's going so heavy on the Zealots. Okay, so now we're making 6 Hellbats at a time. And again, why do we know this? It's because if he's not mining much gas, guys,
Mineral field depleted.
there's not a whole lot of things you can make with Protoss if you don't really take a lot of gas. And also, this building really reveals what he's going for as well. This building also kind of reveals what he's going for as well. It's like, oh, it looks like he's just going to go for mass fucking Zealots because he's going for a Forge, a Twilight Council, and Forge, Twilight Council, and lots of minerals. Lack of gas. Okay, so just keep making everything as we are. Now we're getting a little more gas. We can throw down some more factories for some like more Thor production or something. We can also get smart servos to make our shit transform faster. And we can even take another base. And let's start another command center while we're at it. Let's go ahead and... Oh, wait, we're getting attacked again. Okay, so we can just grab some SCVs and repair this command center. Why not? Shift, right-click the mineral line again. We could also lift it off if we needed to, but it doesn't seem like we need to.
Upgrade complete.
Well, butter my biscuit.
Make some
Not enough
depots because we're about to
minerals.
block.
Not enough minerals.
So now let's make some more tech
Not
labs.
enough minerals.
So now we are actually going to prioritize some tech labs so we can actually start making some more Thors. And let's go ahead and scan between his natural and third and see if he took a third. Because we want to know what's his base count look like. He has it. And he's got a lot more zealots. And now here's here pretty soon in just a minute.
Not enough
We can also
minerals.
send out the 1 Hellion thing. And just see, like, on each side of the map, and we can just see, is he being really greedy? Like, is this guy on, like, fucking, how many bases is this guy on? If he's going mass minerals? Because you got to think about this, too. If someone does go mass minerals, that means they can expand faster than normal because they're not prioritizing gas, which is a delay on your economy. And it does not cost any gas to take expansions. The only thing that is expansion related in this game that costs gas is making a planetary fortress. That's it.
Not enough minerals.
Making command centers, making hatcheries,
Not
making
enough.
nexus, those cost only minerals.
Research. Not enough minerals.
So let's take 2 Hellions and let's just do that right now.
Command center
Scout one side of the map.
complete.
Other Hellion, scout the other side of the map. See how many bases we're looking at, and that's going to allow us to set up our attack now.
Not enough minerals. Not enough. Mineral field depleted.
Let's go and make a missile turret at each base. This is just in case, you know, he switches.
Base is under
Okay, he's
attack.
attacking me right now over here. We can try and repair it. It's probably going to die. It is dead. Just keep making SCVs, guys. We're not optimal saturated yet. And we can just rebuild it. And now we're basically getting maxed. We're very, very close.
Not enough minerals.
So let's go ahead and, you know, let's go ahead and, you know, finish that max off because we're right there. Do the same thing I just did again, and my Hellions came back. Send them out because we selected all army. Send out the Hellions. Send out the Hellions. We'll start using control groups in Diamond too, so that doesn't happen anymore.
Complete.
But for now, it's not important. Okay, he's attacking me again. So select all army, attack his shit.
Not enough minerals. Not enough.
It's a lot of zealots, guys.
Upgrade complete.
So once again, let's do it again. This is another time my Hellions died. I want to scout the map. I want to see how many bases he's on. I don't want to just attack across the map blindly. He also did just thin out all my Hellbats, so I kind of need some more. We can start a couple more factories over here.
Not enough minerals. Not enough energy. Upgrade complete.
Okay, so the top side of the map, no extra bases. Bottom side of the map, there are extra bases. So, we now know where would be an ideal location to attack him from. It's the bottom side. So let's go do that. Let's go ahead and grab my army. Make sure we're all in Hellbats. Make sure we're all in high impact payload. And send my army down towards the south side.
Research complete. Command center upgrade. Command center.
These 2 Thors are stuck, unfortunately. I'm gonna get rid of some of these mineral patches, that way these Thors can actually get out. Okay, and now let's make even more factories, because this is that point where we have a lot of money, right? Just throw some more factories down. And now let's go kill expansions.
Add on.
Okay, he's attacking me, so send my army back up to fight that. It's fine, we're just A-moving his army. And keep making shit as it dies.
We are at maximum supply.
Okay, he backed off. Let's attack his base now.
Add on complete.
And now let's just keep taking bases of our own, just like he is. Just like he is, dude. Just like he is. Fix my economies. This one needs to be fixed for sure. So does this one. Send him over here, it's fine. Now my army, we can A-move here, shift A-move here, shift A-move here, there, into the main. Call it a day. Go back to macroing again. Let's go ahead and make like an extra like 3 reactors and then all tech labs.
Mineral
It's heating up out here. Thor is here.
And we can rally point it all to the front of my base. Now we can also start making some sensor towers.
Got any extra firepower?
So we can have some type of vision on the map throughout everywhere.
add-on complete. Vespine geyser exhausted.
Keep making units.
Hell back.
Mineral field depleted.
To be honest, the new Thors doesn't matter in this game because they didn't change anything about the Thor's anti-ground attack. The reason why he's losing this game is because we identified he was going mass Hellbat, or mass Zealot, and we went mass Hellbat. So we made a reaction. We went, oh, Protoss is like pure fucking Zealot boy, because this build looks very Zealot heavy, because he just doesn't prioritize gas, and he makes a lot of gates. We logically broke it down, and he kept doing it. So we got Blue Flame Hellbats, and Zealots just constantly ran to their death. Did only the air attack for Thor change? Yes. The one mode called high impact payload changed for Thor. They lowered its attacks, or they lowered its attack damage a little bit, but they buffed its attack speed a lot. So overall it does more DPS. And they also increased its range by 1. So now it shoots further away as well. Okay, so let's go back. We kind of missed a little bit of what's important here. Sorry, I was kind of reading chat. So. Okay, right here is about good. Our SVs. So what we're doing, guys. Quick breakdowns here. Our base is standard. Depot, barracks, command center, gas. Right? Our base looks really standard. We almost have enough money to expand. Not quite just yet. Protoss, if he's doing a similar build to us, he'll be in the same boat. But we scout nothing. Like no pylon. Excuse me. We scout no pylon at the natural. No desire to have anything at the natural, which again, that's not the end of the world. That's okay. We scout nothing at the ramp. This is also not the end of the world. I would say, right now though, the next step we should have is we should 100% scout his gases. Because here's why. Okay? I'm going to tell you something right now that's very important. I can now rule out the fact that I'm going to be hit by mass zealots in a proxy. Like I can now rule out the fact that there is like 4 gateways right there that are just getting ready to make zealots soon, and he's gonna just full on all in me with 4 gateway zealot. That gas proves that build is not happening. So that's, if we think about this Protoss is capable of doing anything right now, because we don't know what's going on yet, that is now, that build's gone. It doesn't matter anymore. That build is deleted. However, we still don't see a pylon in his base, and we don't see anything going on. There should be at least 1 pylon. Okay, hold on. Someone says why. Someone says ViBE, why? The reason why, we can look at this gas and go, okay, he's not going proxy 4-gate zealot. You cannot afford to produce out of your 4 gateways. First of all, you can't afford to build 4 gateways, and then on top of that, produce out of 4 gateways the whole time efficiently, if what you're doing is you're taking your economy and you're taking gas with it. You're adding in extra probe expenses to fill up gases. You're adding the expense to also build the gases. You don't have the ability to proxy 4-gate at a early time and also take things like gas. It's just, the game doesn't work like that. And this is the reason why, again, this is what I want people to understand, okay? This is where once again learning priorities, developing habits, and efficiency makes sense. If my opponent goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build a gas to throw my opponent off, but I'm going to proxy 4-gate zealot him. And he'll think it doesn't happen because I'm taking a gas. We'll just make him confused. If that's your mindset, okay? If that's how you play StarCraft, even if you proxy 4-gate me and you go, you know what I'm doing? I'm fucking gassing you as well, just to throw you off. Your build is going to hit a later timing now than it should have otherwise. And it is also now easier to deal with your shit because instead of hitting me, let's just say hypothetically, here's a number for you. Let's say proxy 4-gate zealots. The first 4 zealots walk up to your door at your base at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's just say that that's what happens. If you delay your build by doing things like taking gas as well now, just because, instead of hitting you at 220, now it'll hit you at like 245. So now I have like 25 more seconds to prepare for your quote-unquote hidden all-in. And that's more time that I can now do things like get a wall going, more time to build my own defensive units behind my wall, things like that. It's just easier for me to defend it because you're waiting longer to do your timing. Which is why whenever people do builds and they just try to metagame your ass and throw you off by doing things that literally make no sense for builds like that, it means that my chances of defending it, even if I don't scout it, go up anyways because it's later. You can't just do something that deviates your build and suddenly you're also doing the build at the same time. It doesn't make sense. Like I can't say one guy goes proxy 4-gate properly and one guy goes gas plus proxy 4-gate and they both hit the same time. No, they don't. That doesn't make sense. The gas one gets delayed, so it is quote-unquote weaker because time is a valuable resource in StarCraft, and having builds that hit later timings means the build is weaker if it's aggressive. So that automatically we can rule out things like, oh, proxy 4-gate. It doesn't mean he's not proxying at all, but it does mean proxy 4-gate zealot only. That shouldn't be a thing now because even if it is, it's inefficient and it's weak. Second gas. Okay, this is a big one. There is no second gas. So this means this dude is prioritizing minerals, just like we are. So our SCV does not leave his base. Like, we don't leave the area. We do leave his main, but we don't leave the area. It would not be the worst idea to really quickly scout around his base. We do eventually do this. But we're just really quickly going down to see if he's trying to go Nexus early. Because if we don't see any type of a pylon in front of his base, this is getting a little weird. But we're just going to go quickly check. And be like, does he have did you just go fucking for a quick natural Nexus? And the answer is no. We do send our SV back up. I didn't mean to send it all the way down. It comes right back. But then we don't see the natural, so we right away. So we kind of check around, and we go back into his main, and we scout further in to be like, what are you doing? Are you walling this? This is just to throw this out there for Terran players. Scouting here is actually not bad. Like, this is why I think you should scout around the base. Scouting here is actually a good idea, because a lot of Protosses will actually build a pylon here, and then they can build like a gateway and a core next to it. Because what this does is it blocks a Reaper from being able to jump up right there. So a Reaper can't jump up from the back of the base anymore. So building your buildings like that for Protoss is actually pretty standard. We do end up seeing his Nexus though at his natural, which confirms. Look at our natural timing. Where again, we're comparing this to our build, right? Our natural, it just started 16 seconds ago. His natural just started 6 seconds ago. They're relatively similar timed, which means it's, you know, also we've seen this, and now that we've confirmed that this is here, we can guarantee that this dude went pylon, gateway, and he either went for a core into a Nexus, or he just went into a Nexus, now he's going to build a core. But we can guarantee this was a 1-gate opener, or it's very likely that it's like a standard gateway opener because of the fact that he took Nexus expand. It seems very standard. So we scout further into his base, and now we start scouting around the back, and we see 1-gate core. There you go. Now we know what he's doing. And then he still doesn't have the second gas started. This is a lot of information, guys. Because look at this. Okay, check this out. And then this is the other thing too we'll talk about that's really important. This is a nice tip here. Look, so we saw the gas, we saw the mineral line, we saw the this is it. This is, so everything we talked about so far is scouting 101. We're just kind of identifying his build, and we're trying to put pieces together. But here is advanced scouting, okay? This is advanced scouting now. This is a way to look at everything we just looked at, but ramp it up a little bit to really understand what's going on in his build. And this is something you guys should start paying attention to. Look at his Nexus. Specifically, look at the top of his Nexus. If you know how to read a building, we can tell he's not making probes. He was not making probes just now, okay? And now our SV goes around a little bit, comes back, and look at the Nexus when we go by it again. He is not making probes. He is not building another gas. He is still not making probes. If you see someone doing something like this, it's kind of weird that they're expanding and not making probes. But if you see someone not making workers, what that means is what are they doing with, like, why are you maximizing your money in a way where you've hit your one mineral line saturated, but now you're just not going to have the added expense of making probes? What are you spending your money on instead? One of two things is happening. One is he just is not literally spending his money at all. And he's like, oh shit, I haven't been making probes, which is probably not happening. Or the other is he's making more production. So even though we haven't seen it and we know he's not making probes, we know this was a 1-gate opener, okay? We know this was a 1-gate opener because he took a Nexus around the same time we took our command center. So we're comparing it to our build. But now that we see he's not making probes, this reinforces, okay, well, maybe he's making additional production now. And he's going to go, like, why would you make additional production? Why would you cut probes to make additional production? Probably because you want to do a timing. So a timing is already in the back of our mind a little bit, being like, it's more likely that it could happen. Otherwise, his build is just inefficient. But I'm telling you right now, making a Nexus and then not making probes is inefficient. That's just straight up what it is. But look, we should see more production now. And there's another gateway. It's only one so far, but this reinforces the fact that if he's going to cut probes out of his build cost, he's probably going to do a timing. Like, it seems more likely. So we can speed it up now to the Reaper coming back. Meanwhile, we're still doing our build. Reaper comes back, confirms that this Nexus is not getting canceled or some weird shit. Because, again, if someone's not going to build probes, there's a chance that this Nexus was going to be a fake, and he's actually going to cancel it and actually have, like, 3 more gates here, and he's going to all-in you. That is also a possibility. So keeping the probe, watching of the probes is like, are you going to make probes? What's going on over there? We go back to his base. We go back to, our Reaper goes directly to where the pylon was first. We're like, what is going down at this pylon now furthermore than what you had before? And we see the second gate. We confirm it now. And we also see the Twilight Council. This Twilight Council is, again, for the possibility of Adepts, Charge Lots, Stalkers with Blink, or he just wants to go to some type of a Templar tech. Most likely it's usually going to be Dark Templars. And that is what the possibilities can be now with this dude's choice of tech structure here. And we pass by his economy. And look, guys, we still don't see probes getting made. There are still no probes being produced. It is idle when we're here. This is, again, weird. It reinforces once again that he's going to be aggressive. And if he's not going to make probes, and he's also not going to take a second gas, now we got to ask ourselves, if he's going to do a timing, the timing is reinforced not only by the Twilight Council, but it's also because this is an aggressive opening build here. And it's, again, the units I just talked to you about. You can make all these units out of the gateway, Zealots, Stalkers, and Adepts. Or you can just tech into DTs or High Templars. But if we think about this, okay, what is... So he looks like he's doing an aggressive opening because he's cutting probes and he's also going for a Twilight Council. Secondly, he's not really prioritizing gas. So what can we think of that is light on the gas but aggressive that Protoss can do out of gateways? Your choices are Adepts or Zealots. Those are your two choices. Zealots are the easiest choice because Zealots are literally free on the gas. Adepts are the second likely choice because even though they do cost gas, it's very light. They only cost 25 gas per Adept. But if I had to guess and think about this, then we ask ourselves, what is the point of going Adepts if I am Terran and I have a wall? Well, Adepts are going to be really weak then. They're going to show up here and they're not even going to be able to kill a depot, and then all my tanks are just going to kill his shit. Like, he's just going to get pounded by a wall. Even if I had bio, I could make a bunker and Adepts can't do anything really. Zealots seem like the more likely choice because Zealots are more self-sustaining than Adepts are against Terran. Zealots are just better against Terran than Adepts are for, like, if for a straight up frontal push. If this had a robo and he could go into my main base, I'd be like, maybe Adepts would make more sense as well, because then he can actually realistically get on my SCVs and my mineral lines. But if his plan is to walk into my front door, it's probably going to be Zealots. ViBE, why do you say no Stalkers? Because Stalkers, I'm going to just say this, okay? This is where I need you guys have to understand these things. Look at his gas. Do you see his gas right now? He barely has any because he's mining only off of 1 gas. To get Blink is a more expensive upgrade for gas than Charge and Resonating Glaives is. It's 150, 150 for Blink, and Resonating Glaives and Charge is both 100, 100. So Blink is more expensive. Now on top of that, a Stalker is more expensive too in gas. A Stalker is 50 gas per, right? So you physically cannot make, you could not make a lot of Stalkers off of one gas going for an early timing like this. He would probably show up to my base with 3 or maybe 4 Blink Stalkers, which is not scary. Like, if he would have done that, I would have been like, well, I didn't expect Stalkers, but you went Stalkers anyways, but you only have like 4 of them, and they all just died. It wouldn't be something that's scary. Same thing can be said about Dark Templars and High Templars. Those are also really fucking expensive on the gas. They are not cheap. So if he showed up, if he was like, I'm going to go DTs with this, he would show up at my base with like 1 DT. Or if he went High Templars, he would show up at my base with like 1 Archon. Or it could be like 2 DTs or like 1 Archon. And that's it. There would be no follow-up to that. It wouldn't be like a flood of shit. It would just be like, that's it. Not scary. So realistically, it makes sense that it's going to be Adepts or Zealots. Most likely Zealots because we're Terran. It just makes sense that it's Zealots. Because again, Adepts suck ass if they just run against the wall and do nothing.
Add-on complete.
And again, no probes are being made. No probes are being made. Yo, by the way, Jay Cranberries, thank you for the sub, dude. Welcome to VFam. And Depthifying, thank you very much for the 51-month sub. Oh my god. Goddamn, man. You ever gonna leave? Thank you for the support. That's a long-ass sub. I love you, dude. And Lord Ultimatum, thank you as well for the 4-month resub. Love learning from you all the time, vibe. Yo, bro, I love that you love being here. I appreciate you supporting the stream as well. You're a boss. Thank you, guys. Very much appreciated. But yeah, so far this game, we kind of have tabs on what we think is happening. We're like, well, he's cutting probes here and there almost every time I'm in his base, and the bigger one is no gas, Twilight Council, as we talked about. Speeding forward, we go back and scout his base again, and instead of seeing his base, our Reaper goes out to scout, and even though we don't see it, okay, like physically on our screen, we see right now the Reaper goes, we're screwed, and then it dies. Big red flashes come in the minimap, and our Reaper gets killed. If we didn't even look at what he had, okay, we could totally click there now, but if we didn't even look at what he had, I'm gonna just throw this out there, okay? This timing is really fast. This is much faster than, once again, any type of Templar tech could ever be. Okay, Templar tech is irrelevant now. It's a mute point, because the only way this would work is if he chrono boosted his Templar or his Twilight Council, and then went for it. Like, he's not. Also, the other thing too is it's not DTs, because we see a red clump of crap on the map. If it was DTs, we would see nothing. It would be invisible. It's not Templars, High Templars, because he definitely doesn't have enough gas for that, and also it's too early to have Archons pushing across the map. It's unrealistic. So, again, our choices are now for sure Stalkers, Adepts, or Zealots, and we can once again rule out the Stalkers because it's also too expensive. So it just realistically, Zealots just make a lot of sense here. Okay, we talked about it already. We don't have to describe it all again, but it's really, Zealots make a fuckload of sense.
Add-on complete.
And we barely missed it. If you might have seen it. There was a Zealot standing right there for a second, but we'll just assume, oh, I missed it. I didn't get to see it fast enough. But at the very least, since our Reaper was killed, all we have to do now is go, let's just finish our wall off. Just finish the wall, because we know he's attacking us right now. I don't give a shit that my natural is at the natural. I can lift it off, and it's fine. But we know we're getting attacked, so let's just look at it like that. And look at this. It's Zealots. Charge lots. It's 1 Stalker and 5 charge lots.
Ready to go.
Now, there's 2 ways we could react to this. One is we could pull SCVs immediately and repair the depots. That would be fine. Another one is we could just repair the depots right now and we'll be fine. The reason why both of these would work is because this army is really early. This is a really fast, low eco type of timing. It's not, you know, he's cutting corners to do this. So, and it's already like dead by the time it breaks my depot. So we're fine. Like either way this goes, we're fine. Just as long as we don't supply block for very long and we fix our depots. Make new ones, whatever. Repair the one that doesn't die. And I'm going to throw this out there. Protoss and Terran being equal workers is not ideal for Protoss. Because Terran has mules. So the second I'm now able to properly saturate my natural, because he just committed to a timing and it failed, I will saturate this and my economy will explode over his. So again, this is that right now, if we're talking about learning how to read a game, okay? This is that moment when you should know, in this game right now, you should look at this with all these things combined and go, he has not been making probes. He has not been making probes. He's been rushing out a really weird timing. He did a timing. It failed. I lost basically nothing. I'm ahead. You should know this. Like right now, you should feel good about this game as the Terran perspective. You should feel like you're in a good spot. 100%.
Command mineral field depleted.
And it makes sense for all those reasons combined that we just talked about. Lack of effort and economy and a failed timing. Now look at this. Here's a second timing. He's running over to my base. We have Hellions. We have more tanks. And he's still going mass Zealots. Okay? So here the fight happens. These Zealots all kind of get pounded. A lot of my SCVs don't really die. And now once again, that is a second timing that has all his units has died. And it failed. And we have a third base that's done now. So once again, this is feeling good. Like there's no reason to feel bad about this. That I feel like that reinforces that we're ahead even further. And if you're wondering, why is that, ViBE? Why should we feel ahead? We haven't really lost any of our economy every time he attacks us. And we know, again, from the reasons before, like he was cutting probes to do these timings, we should feel good about our economy compared to his economy. But the bigger one, the biggest one of all now at this point, because he keeps attacking me with Zealots like this, is he keeps doing a lot of these aggressive Zealot attacks, which is confirming to the fact that he is investing into Gateway and he's production, and he's also ramping out Zealots repeatedly to attack us with because he wants to get aggressive. But it's confirming that his tech is like non-existent. He doesn't have a lot of tech for this. I'm just going to throw it out there. You cannot go shitloads of Zealots and send them at your opponent and have them keep repeatedly like throwing themselves away and then suddenly also at the same time have tons of tech. You can't do that. That doesn't work that way. If you're playing an efficient game. Yo, thank you for the sub, Giant Ground Sloth. ViBE is my co-pilot. Where you want to go, Sloth, Mr. Sloth? Take you anywhere. Let's go to GM. Thank you very much for that sub. And now you can see our
Upgrade.
so we scan him. So we're just confirming, right? We're just like, okay, well, we know this guy has been going for Zealots so far. We like a minute goes by after his last attack. We know we're in a good spot. I don't expect his tech to be that crazy. And when I scan his base, I just scan near the pylon in the main. And the reason why I do this is because I just want to see if he's throwing down more tech in his main. Normally, if someone makes tech, they're not going to make it at the front of their natural. They're going to usually throw tech down in their main base. And look what we see. The only change has been more gateways have been added. 2 more gates have been added. A forge was added, and he still doesn't have the second gas. This is the immediate reason why I go, okay, well, he is still prioritizing those minerals, guys. And now he's even, on top of that, he's increased the gateway count, and he's also got a forge going. Let's prioritize something that can handle, and what have we seen already? Zealots. And then a second wave of Zealots. So this really reinforces there's going to probably be even more Zealots. So what's good against Zealots? That's easy and A-movable. Fucking Hellbats. Widow Mines are also good. But again, we could use Widow Mines at a different time. But for now, I would say Hellbats. Amazing. He's going to run into Hellbats and get cleaved down by like fire, basically. Because it's just, like when you have a Hellbat, it cleaves really well with its AoE attack. So we start going into reactors here for Zealots. To make Hellbats for Zealots. Yo, Alexander, thank you very much for the Prime, dude. Much appreciated. Much love, much love. But it makes sense if you add up everything that's happened up to this point in this game. You just got to remember, you got to keep tabs on stuff. And once again, it confirms, we just get confirmed again right now. What happens right here? He walks into our base with a large ass attack of Zealots. This guy's making Zealots repeatedly. This means he is focusing heavily on just minerals. That's like another like 15 Zealots attacking me right there. And now we keep stabilizing because our composition, here's the thing, right? Our composition is becoming stronger and stronger than his is. Like, it's that same thing we always talk about where it's like we're macroing and we're producing at the same time. And we're absorbing. But suddenly, once our macro hammer kicks in, the attacks aren't really going to be close anymore. And we're going to start ramping up in supply really hard. Now, I know he's been making probes. And I know he's been keeping up with me in the worker count for the most part, even though he cut probes here and there. But a big reason as to why this is because he cuts gas so fucking hard. So there's a trade-off. So he's just not really prioritizing a lot of gas here because he's not really taking a lot of gas. And the trade-off is his tech is, again, we said this already, but his tech is going to suffer now. And the trade-off is that if he's not going to really tech, he now has that freed up expense to be like, well, I'll still expand as fast as you are, and I'll keep attacking you with my zealot attacks. But that's pretty much what the game is going to be, is a bunch of zealot attacks. Which that's fine, right? Like, you know, that's a way he can kind of catch back up in economy. But it means that my army is going to become way more well-rounded than his is, because I'm going to throw it out there. Mass Zealots is not the best army. It just isn't. You need kind of more diversity mixed in with that. Like, Immortal Archon Zealot would be way scarier than just Mass Zealot. Yo, Fresh Clip, thank you very much for the 2-month sub. Welcome back. A+++ stream. I can't change a thing as a viewer. Thank you, dude. That's very nice of you to say that. Thank you. I appreciate that. And people, you know, thank you for the 36 months, the 3-year sub. The subs keep happening. Oh my God, boys. People, you know, hope you're doing well today, man. Thank you very much for popping that sub in again. Thank you, thank you. And now, you know, we're still making SCVs, and here comes another Zealot attack. So if you're, I'm just gonna throw this out there, guys. If you're a Terran player, and you see, and again, this is how you should read this game. I'm going to sum up what we kind of have talked about already, but this is a nice summary. If I go, okay, this guy is doing like wave after wave of zealots, and each time this guy attacks me with zealots, it seems to be bigger than the last one. It's like he attacks me with 5 zealots, then 9 zealots, then 13 zealots, then 17 zealots. These zealot waves just keep getting larger and larger and larger. Why do they keep getting larger? Well, logically, you would think it's because he's expanding and he's making more money, so every time he attacks me, he can afford to make more each time. So he's ramping up his zealot production by just being greedy with mineral build only, really. And the only thing, but he does have things like charge and armor, so he is still mining at least a little bit of gas to get upgrades. But this dude is, again, we scanned him as well. He is neglecting gas, so really what he's doing is he's having like a build that's like 90% minerals, 10% gas, and the gas is only designed to upgrade the zealots, but it's to make mass zealots and expansions. So as a Terran player in this position, I should think to myself, this guy is kind of on a timer now because his army is about to become really shitty compared to mine. As soon as I get Blue Flame, and as soon as I get, like, we're talking like 25, 30 Hellbats, his zealots are going to run in and all just die immediately, and then my Thor Hellbat is just going to kill everything else afterwards. Like, his army is on a clock to win the game, and because the reason why is because this needs to do damage to my economy. It needs to reset me to work, because zealots don't scale very well by themselves. They just don't. They're not, zealots are not self-sufficient units that just win games on their own. So I feel great. I feel like I am in complete control of this game now. I feel like the way this is going, I'm going to keep getting further and further ahead, and as you can see, I am. I now have a nice 60 supply lead over him.
Upgrade.
But the supply will start balancing out a bit because he can build supply faster than I can. He can build supply. Zealots can be built faster than I can make Thors and shit like that. But yeah, these attacks keep happening, and it's making us feel good.
Mineral field depleted.
So now he attacks us again, and now this time around he's using Archons. So now that's making me think, okay, well now he might have added in some more gas, but I guarantee he has a lot of bases because look at the zealot count now. Instead of like 17, now it's like 26. So he's just cranking the zealot numbers repeatedly. But we don't mind. We're prepared for zealots because our army composition is amazing against that. We're happy about it. We're fine.
Mineral field upgrade.
So this is the last part, right? This is the last part where we should feel like we're good. We're in a good or a bad spot. We are maxed out. There is totally a chance in this game that our opponent could be maxed out. But just because you're maxed out, it doesn't mean your army is going to be efficient and good. The reason why I say this guy can totally be maxed out is because even though he's thrown away army after army after army, he's been doing a very gas light, very mineral heavy build, and he's been inflating his supply heavily with zealots. And as we can see, he's got 43 fucking zealots. Like, we could totally see a maxed out Protoss here with the current composition we've been seeing him make already. Am I expecting maxed out Skytoss or some shit right now? Fuck no. Hell no. I'm not expecting that because he hasn't been making gas very much. And we've been confirming this. What we are expecting is lots of zealots repeatedly, and that's what he keeps showing us because that's what his range of his build is capable of right now. He could, however, over time start going into more other things if he starts taking more gas. That is possible. But the thing that's really scary for Protoss right now is I'm maxed out. He could be maxed out, but his army composition trade-wise against me is awful. It's really bad. His army is going to trade at such an inefficient rate to mine because we've identified what he's been doing all game, and we made a solid counter to it, which is Blue Flame Hellbats versus Charge Lots. And then Thors are just nice in general to have behind them. Thors are just good, solid units. And this is what the trade looks like. Look at when the fight starts. The supply difference is 26 when it starts. And let's look at what it ends up at. Supply difference started at 26. Supply difference at the end of it is now about 80. So that's, you know, obviously that, if you look at resources lost, that was not very efficient for Protoss. And again, that's because that is like the equivalent of, like, for instance, like a Zerg player going mass roaches only all game, and suddenly like a Protoss player is maxed out on Immortals and Charge Lot Archon, or like a Terran player being maxed on like Siege Tanks, Hellbats, and Thors. Like, the army composition he's going for is one that is early game only. It doesn't really have a large future. Zealots are only, like, Zealots are nice buffer for better units, but if you're only making Zealots and that's pretty much it, your Zealots are buffering for more Zealots, and you will eventually hit a point where you just kind of fall off a cliff and you're like, well, my army kind of sucks now. Which is what we just saw. They don't trade very well, like, on their own, if I have a solid army against them.
Upgrade.
And now we scout for expansions and we find out where he is, because this is what we should be doing. Once we have that position where we're ready to attack, he's been attacking us over and over and over, but once we have that position where we're like, we know we have map control and we're like, okay, let's go attack him. Scouting for where we want to attack first is a big deal. We don't want to just be like, I'm going to attack here and then I'm going to walk up here and suddenly the Protoss attacks us in our natural while we're way the fuck over here because we didn't know. We didn't scout. We just picked a bad place to go to. And now we're in a position where we're getting base traded and he's ahead because we're in the middle of nowhere and he's already in our base. You don't ever want to move blindly across the map and be like, I will attack. It's like Battleship. B12. Nothing. Ah, shit. Like, you want to know where he is before you pick your location. So sending out a couple units first is nice. Hellions are great to do with Protoss, or with Terran, because they're fast and you're good to go. And we find out, oh, base, 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 base. We can just kill him from the bottom up. And now we can kill every base one by one by one by one. Send our army down to the bottom. Suddenly, fuck him up. Once we get in a position like this, the game is over. Because he's now stuck in a position where he's like, I need to defend with my same shit. More mass zealots, and now he's starting to make some stalkers. But these zealots are going to get pounded again. All the zealots are dead, and now it's just stalker immortal, and there's just not enough supply. We just have too much. Like, the lead has cascaded over too much for us at this point in this game. And now, number one, there's no way he's really going to stop our expansions of our bases now. So we're just completely gaining all control of the map. We're also preparing ourselves, as we always do, for that big-ass remax with all these factories. We have tons of factories to work with now to remax again and again and again. And the fact that we just won the fight and we're also next to his nexuses means we can just kill his expansions. And now he starves out. He suddenly doesn't really get to have a lot of money anymore. And that's pretty much it. So now the game is literally over. There you go. Nice. So reading that game was heavily based off of kind of like, again, this is why I told you guys in a previous video, it might not have been a Terran video, but I have said this before in Platinum League for some of my videos, and I'll say it again now. The first 5 minutes of the game is massive. It's fucking massive. It's a big setup phase of the game. And if you set up properly, you gain these massive leads against your opponent. And the setup for that exact game we just played was, we identified that that dude was going for what looked like a timing. We properly dealt with his timing with the ways we just talked about. And from that point on, we just gained leads that were, you know, we just continued to grow over and over and over until he died.
SCV ready. I can't build here.
Not enough minerals.
Huh? Go ahead. SCV ready.
Additional supply depots required.
Let's go ahead and right-click his mineral line with our command center so we can scout his base. ViBE, you didn't laugh out loud, you liar.
SCV ready.
I was laughing on the inside. I should have said L-I-N. Or rather, L-O-N. Laughing on inside.
SCV ready. Let's do it.
Lottie.
SCV ready.
Does Guardian Shield reduce hellbat damage? No, it's considered melee. He expanded. So again, it's important to us. We want to know that. That he expanded, so that allows us now to expand as well.
Yes, sir.
He's got a pool, had a nice safe timing, and now he's taking his gas. He might even be doing Bronze GM build. With the way that gas is timed out, that could very well be Beta GM Zerg right there. It's what the gas means when it's late like that, just so you guys know, it's defensive. That's all you should really analyze about that. If the Zerg does not take their gas before the pool is started, and then which would equate to having 100 gas when the pool finishes, if that's not their plan, and instead the pool's going to finish and they're just going to start mining gas then, that's a defensive pool, and it means their plan is to be macro-oriented and defensive, not aggressive. At least for the opener. So again, that's a good read on the opener. We can be like, well, now we don't really have to worry about getting fucked up here in the starting of the game.
SCV ready.
So we're going to run into his base and we're going to scout. Let's go ahead and make a reactor so we can make some Hellions. We're scouting the natural. You can see he's making drones. Scout the main. We can see more drones. Run away. For a second, it's fine. We're not really worrying about microing. We're not worrying about getting the biggest drone pickoffs. That's distracting right now. We're just running. And let's go right back into his base one more time. Go into his main and just scout his base.
SCV ready.
Add-on complete.
Okay, no layer. He's still mining gas. He's still mining gas, guys. That's fine. And now we see a third drone coming for what looks like a third base.
Not enough energy.
So what we should do now, that's important. Keep this mental note in your head. Zerg is still mining gas, and the reason why this is important is because Zerg mined enough gas to get Zergling speed. At this point now, this is later on, okay? So we know he's being defensive so far, but that doesn't always mean that's how it's going to be the whole time. We see the Zerg is still mining gas beyond Zergling speed, so we're going to wait for probably like 20-30 seconds. Let's fix some more parts of my build up, like get my next part of my build going. Make sure we're macroed all properly here. We can start making tanks as well. And now let's go back into his base. We also know we went for a third base. We're going to go back in and we're going to look for potential tech or a layer now. Because if he's still mining gas, what are you doing with that gas? You're going to go for a Roshworn? You're going to go for a Bane Nest? You're going to go for a layer? Still no layer. What do you got going on behind your mineral line? A Baneling Nest. That's something to keep note of. Let's go back down to his natural now. Okay, we got a nice fully saturated natural, and my Reaper's dead. So, the fact that he has a fully saturated natural probably means that's going to be a defensive Baneling Nest. But No layer means, you know, there's a chance there could be a flood of lings and he might do a baneling bust. That is a possibility right now. Normally when people want to play defensive is like the whole time, they're going to go for a little bit of a quicker layer too. To do things like get baneling speed, maybe go into hydras, things like that, make drones, have no plan on making a lot of ling bane. If someone doesn't go for a layer, that's a cost that's freed up, which means there's a chance they might want to hit a certain drone count and then just go for a big ass timing and attack you. That is very possible. So the lack of layer is a little scary. And the continued gas mining is also a little scary. You do not need a layer for roaches. You do need a layer for hydras. For the person who asked that question.
Not enough energy.
And since, here's a nice reaction. Since our opponent is going for what looks like, you know, a potential timing of hatchery tech, we're going to go to 4 tanks now. Sometimes I stop at 2 tanks, sometimes I stop at 3 tanks. We're going to go 4 tanks this time because I'm expecting a potential attack to hit us. It seems like it would make sense if he did do that because of the lack of layer and the constant gas. And how we do it? We split them up 50-50. And now we're going to start going into, like, the tanks, that is. And we take our current units that were already done to my 3rd. So now we can start going into Thor Hellbat. Just like before. And now that we're kind of deeper in the game here, we're a bit more established, we can go ahead and throw down a scan in his base and just see, do you have a layer yet? The answer is yes, and he's getting double evos. So this is looking more standard now. This could be, this looks like Lingbane Hydra or Lingbane Muta, if I had to guess. That's what it seems like. Not a guarantee yet, but it's what it seems like. Let's go ahead and make 1 reactor and 3 tech labs.
Not enough minerals.
You scared me. Thor is here.
Not.
Keep making SCVs, guys. Let's also make a planetary.
Complete.
Let's go ahead and scan his natural this time. Okay, we got more Lingbane. And he also had, do you see that? Do you see drones going down here for a second? That means there's a base right there. So it's a guarantee. And you see that creep right there? That means the base is there for sure.
Complete.
So that's a little, like now we know he's on 4 bases with that scan. Which is, it's again, it's not the end of the world, it's fine. It's just information that makes me go, I'm still safe to be fine here. This is a full-fledged macro game.
Command center.
We have not yet set, however though, we have not yet seen Hydras or Mutas. So let's go ahead and just build some turrets. Just in case it is Mutas. Now let's go ahead and throw down a scan at his 3rd base. His saturation's not looking as good as ours, guys. So we're ahead. That confirms we're ahead.
No.
We're scanning like once a minute just to get tabs on what the hell's
Not
happening.
enough energy. Additional supply depots required.
And also, here's the other thing too. Notice how he did not prioritize his gas at his 3rd for a very long time. That makes me think the chance of him going for like Mutas or Hydras is lower now because he didn't have a lot of gas to work with. So the amount of Banes I saw and the fact that I now know he was on 4 gases means his upgrades and his Banes probably took most of his gas. So if he does go for like Muta or Hydra, it's probably starting now rather than he rushed it earlier. So I'm expecting just a lot of Lingbane is my point. That's my point.
Go ahead. What's going on?
Okay, let's go ahead and make another command center.
Yep.
Let's go and get my gas saturated. What's my SCV count? 78.
Additional supply depots
Once our SCV fucking depots finish, we'll be good. I got spy block for a bit here. Let's go ahead and get building range and armor. Let's get smart servos and blue flame. And let's do the scout now with 2 Hellions.
Mineral field.
So we can see total base count. How much are we working with here?
Daylight's burning. SCV ready.
And get ready to move out.
Big job.
Fix my economies. Good. Good. It's fine.
Upgrade complete.
And now we're maxed. Let's go ahead and throw down a few more factories. Like one more would be good. Okay, now we're at 10 factories. That's enough for now. And we can now see he's expanding. He's favoring expansions on the left side of the map, so let's go deal with that. Hellbats, high impact payload Thors, and unsiege my tanks. And now while I'm moving out, let's go and throw down some sensor towers too, just because. It'll give us a nice little ring of vision on the map. And we're gonna go hit the newest expansion. One reactor, 3 tech labs. Okay, let's go. A move this base, shift A move that base. Shift A move is natural, shift A move is main. Okay, he's here. Let's siege our tanks. And A move his army now. And let it be. Macro. We always, in Platinum League, we want to look at our army just for a second. Just for a sec. Just give it a second to be like, is this going to be a good or a bad fight? Or, you know, like, what's happening? Like, give yourself a moment to be like, I need to siege my tanks right now. And that's fine. Okay, let's send our army back home for a sec. There was a trade, apparently. We didn't lose everything, but he might not have either. Let's just give ourselves a second to recover. And let our future production kind of kick in here for a second so we can remax quickly. And not just throw away 5 Thors by themselves through another Zerg reproduction cycle.
Upgrade complete.
Go ahead and make some gases. We can make a turret.
Insufficient. Not enough minerals.
Transfer some SCVs. And look, there he is. A move his ass. With everything. Make my upgrades. Keep producing. SCV count is still good.
Command center upgrade.
And now we can be logical about this and go, okay, let's scan his main one more time. Does he have a hive? The answer is no. He's still, and also he's still making hydras, and he's still making lings. Let's go ahead and make some siege tanks. Let's make this a logical choice now. Let's also get rid of these rocks because it's kind of fucking me over. Let's start making siege tanks again, guys. Just a round of tanks.
Not enough mineral. Mineral field depleted. Upgrade complete.
We can go ahead and also get some more mules on another base. Here he comes again. Get ready. Let's take another base over here simultaneously. Okay, so it looks like he's about to attack us. And now we can go back into Thor Hellbat because we have some tanks and we're happy with it. The second the fight starts, we're sieging our tanks. And now it's starting. Siege our tanks. Now forget about it for now. Fix my economies.
Got any extra firepower? In the rear with the gear.
And that fight seems like it went really well. Unsiege my tanks. Group my army up again. While my army's grouping up finally, let's take a second and look at my economy one more time. Fix. It's good. Send it there. Fix that big time. That needs to be fixed by 1 and send it there and we're good. Make this a planetary and we're good. Now let's attack his bases. A move, shift, A move, shift, A move, shift, A move. Now the second we get ready to take a fight, let's just you know, like this is happening so we can take you know, some more factories again just like we did last time. Okay, look what's happening. Nothing. Okay, that's 1 base dead. Let's go ahead and throw down a scan between his bases. We're going to start killing creep now that we're going to start paying attention a little bit. We're going to do this. And we're going to scan one more time ahead as well. Because he's not here, so let's scan one more time ahead. There he is. Let's siege our tanks. Because he might engage us right now. And yes, he is. So let whatever happens, happens again. It's happening. We're going to go ahead and remake a few tanks because we're expecting our army to possibly die there. 1 round of tanks. And tanks is going to be good against Hydra, Ling. And then after one round of tanks, we're gonna go back into Thor's again. So my army did die, right? But here's the thing, it's okay that it died because we fucked his base up really bad. We fucked his base up real bad. So I'm okay with losing an army if I always do crippling damage to him in the process.
Command center upgrade complete.
We're almost maxed again.
Upgrade complete. Add-on complete.
We're just adding on more command centers here and there for orbitals.
Not enough mineral. Command center upgrade.
Again, the goal overall is to hit like 8 orbital commands.
Mineral field depleted.
Let's go ahead and send some SCVs to like that gas at the top. Saturate the gas. We can throw down a bunch of mule, or not really. Can't really throw down a bunch of mules. Okay, unsiege my tanks. Group it all up. Let's go.
Command center upgrade complete.
I have units stuck here. Okay. Let's go ahead and lift that off and move this because that's not great.
Mineral field depleted.
That's a lot of supply that's just like trapped there. Okay. Now go again. Let's go back up. Let's scan forward. There's a base here again, but there's nothing actually here. Let's go ahead and siege my tanks when I get close to his base. And forget about it.
Complete.
We've done what we wanted to do there. Just fix my economies. And let's once again add in some more factories. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're getting to that point to where we can max in one go again, instead of having to max multiple times. Okay. GG! GG, boys! GG! But yeah, I think this one was more straightforward. This one was definitely more straightforward. We don't have to break this one down, like, because if I like as much. If we break this one down fully, I'm literally gonna be repeating myself a lot. Someone says this is too much micro for me. Is that serious? Is that serious? Be genuine. Is that serious? Or are you joking? There's no kappa. I don't know if he's being serious or not. ViBE, do you still use Widow Mines if your opponent is going mass air along with the Thors instead of Hellions? It depends what kind of air it is. If it's like Tempest or something, or Broodlords, no, I wouldn't use Widow Mines. If it's like mass Mutas or mass Void Rays or something like that, I might use Widow Mines then. Thors are more than capable of killing capital ships and like heavy units by themselves in high impact payload. And sometimes it's actually still more intelligent to have Hellions to cover the Thor, to absorb damage and get shit off the Thors too. Like for instance, I would say Hellbat Thor is way better against Broodlord than Widowmine Thor is. So yeah, we scouted his early expansion stuff. We saw the gas thing, as we talked about. Defensive gas. Late gas is defensive gas. Makes us feel not really pressured at all. Reaper kept scouting in. Saw a good drone count. That even further reinforces defensiveness. But the big one here was this right here. The big one was what's going to happen here in just a moment. Let's times 8 it until it happens. This is the last thing we'll talk about in this game specifically, and then we'll be good. Right? Here. When does it happen? It's very soon. Let's say we scouted his main, we scouted his natural. We saw, oh, he's going for double evos, Baneling Nest. We saw he's got a fully saturated natural with more gases, but this one was huge. Watch.
Complete. Command center.
Look at the worker count right now. The fact that the third base for Zerg was, again, we knew this was his third base because our Reaper ran by it. Our Reaper literally ran by this hatchery earlier on in the game, which gave us that. We knew this was his third base. So when we check up on it again and scan it, we once again compare it to our build. We see gases that aren't done. We see a mineral line that's not actually fully saturated yet. And then we look at our build. Fully saturated, fully saturated. And then we look at our other base, and our 4th base is already done, ready to be saturated as well. The reason why this is a big deal, and we know this makes us know that we are in a great spot as Terran, is because Zerg never wants to be tied with Terran, or like even if Zerg is tied with Terran when it comes to economy, Zerg is behind. That means Zerg is actually behind, because what Zerg is capable of doing is Zerg is totally capable of being a lot faster at saturating than Terran is. Zerg should be faster. Like, this should have been fully saturated for Zerg before we were fully saturated on ours in a standard game. So this made us feel great. This made us feel, okay, well, this is a good position then. We're happy about it. We're not really too worried about the fact that the Zerg could totally, you know, it has more than I do. This makes us feel like if the Zerg is going to be going Ling Bane and I'm going for mech, I'm not really worried about getting overwhelmed by like some maxed out Zerg when I'm only at like 150 supply. That's ultimately what that means. And overall, I am making an army that scales better than Zerg is right now. Ling Bane does not scale as good as Tank, Thor, Hellbat.
Upgrade complete.
I'm in a heap of trouble.
Mineral
Stim Junkie Jet. Thank you for the 100 biddies, man. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, 119 biddies. Thank you very much, dude. Oh, yeah. And now my army's getting a little bit spread apart, but we're kind of seeing the power of, even though this was not the most opportune way to take this fight for Terran. Terran's just like taking it like a champ. Because, again, Thor armies scale a bit better than Hydra Ling Bane armies. Especially when tanks are involved. And then we pull back again, as we said before in the game. We don't want 5 Thors just to be out there and just die for no reason. 5 Thors by themselves kind of suck. Thors definitely scale better in large numbers, especially when they're also covered by Hellbats, because when you really think about it, what are we also fighting against? Mass Zergling? It would make no fucking sense to be like, let's go in here with just Thors, because mass Lings could kill this. And he could easily remake a shitload of Lings if he's on top of his larva. So we have to respect that. Back up. Regroup our army a bit. And, yeah, and just wait on it for a sec. No reason to throw your shit away. And then he does, you know, he does exactly this. If I would have attacked with my Thors across the map, and I would have lost just Thors way out here by themselves and no Hellbats to cover, and then he would have pushed with this army further into my base and fought just Hellbats with more Ling Hydra, there's a very good chance he would have killed both of my armies split in 50-50. And then he would have also probably killed my planetary and maybe even killed my 3rd base, and I might have even lost the game. I might have even lost the game. So we got to think logically as well, like, what am I weak against right now? If I'm playing against Thor, or sorry, if I'm playing against Zergling, Baneling, Hydra, what are my weaknesses? Well, my Thors are weak against Zergling, and if my Thors are getting surrounded by Zergling, they're also then weak against Hydra because I'm going to be stuck busy shooting one Zergling at a time, and it's not very efficient. My Hellbats are weak against Banelings, and my Hellbats are also weak against Hydras. And then if I go Siege Tanks, my Siege Tanks are weak against Zerglings, and that's about it. So now if I think about this and I go, okay, well, but that's what I'm weak against. But if I think about what I'm strong against, I can go, well, he's going Ling Bane Hydra. Hellbats can shit all over the Zerglings. Siege Tanks can shit all over the Banelings and the Hydras as well simultaneously. And then Thors can just clean up the remainder, because if I'm able to get rid of a lot of the Ling flood in front of my base, or in front of my army, throughout Thor and Tank, it means that the Thor aren't really going to be busy killing Lings anymore, and instead their DPS is going to be able to be shifted into more expensive units. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be Hydras, it could be Roaches, it could be Ravagers, it could be Broodlords, it could be Mutas. The Thors, if they're not busy killing Zerglings, they're going to fucking destroy whatever is behind the Zerglings. So Tank Hellion create like this, like, get out of here Zergling kind of a situation, and then the Thors just pound behind whatever's there. So that's what our idea becomes.
Upgrade.
And then again, all we're doing is macroing. This Zerg player did a good job macroing as well. Like, he kept maxing with us too. Like, he was continuously hitting us with maxed armies, and he has 80 drones. He did a good job. But the reason why this game ended the way it did is because his army composition doesn't scale as well as ours does. Well, as soon as we started adding, like, before we had tanks in our army, it was a little bit questionable, because if he has a lot of banelings knock out a lot of my hellbats, and a lot of the Zerglings are left over, suddenly Ling Hydra can kill Thors. But if we add in siege tanks, it's harder for him to get good connections then with Banes, and suddenly my Hellbats are more effective, and then now my army actually is more more just durable. And once the tanks became part of the play here, because we're platinum and we're starting to think logically about what makes sense here, and siege tanks are a great addition to our army now in the mid game. We started crushing once we had that. So now look at this next fight when we actually make a nice number of tanks, which is like 7 tanks. I think we made like 7. Suddenly the fights go a lot better for us.
Mineral field depleted.
Then we attack him again. We scan and we siege again, and now look at another fight where it's even though the Hellbats are out of position and it's just like pretty much tank Thor in the back. Like overall, not a bad trade. If these Hellbats were in a better position, we probably would have won that fight, because a lot of the Zerglings would have been cleaned out immediately. So positioning is a big thing. But again, we're not worrying about microing right now, right? We lost that fight due to poor positioning from Hellbats. But it's okay, because we still got the job done. And this is what happens. Even though we lost our army, the goal was we were killing his economy, and we completed that goal. We fucked his base up. We still also reset a lot of his units, even though we lost that fight. But we're constantly macroing during the fight, which is what is actually more important still, because we should be able to handle this. We're doing minimal micro, so we're doing this as a priority still. Like, all we're microing is, there he is, siege my tanks. We're in range, siege my tanks. That's about it. Everything else is A-moving, A-moving, A-moving. But because we macro during that, we're maintaining this like near maxed composition still. We're still in a great position.
Vespine geyser exhausted.
Hellbat coming through.
And then it doesn't take us very long to remax because of this.
Ready to roll out.
Command center upgrade complete. Upgrade add-on complete. Command center mineral field add-on complete. Command center mineral field.
Chat's curious, what's your Bronze GM series Zerg supposed to do versus your Terran? If we're talking about Platinum, so I don't like, usually, I shouldn't have answered this question. I already regret answering it. I don't really like talking about the other races, because these are YouTube videos I'm making right now. I don't like delving into a Zerg topic when I'm doing a Terran video. But in general, if this was Zerg beta GM versus Terran beta GM, and this was what was happening, you could bounce between Lurker editions, you could bounce between Broodlord editions. For instance, if there's a lot of tanks, we can make some Broodlords. If there's a lot of Thors, we could make Lurkers. Things like that. And we'd be fine. Like, that would be a great way to, just 2 simple ways we could be like, well, we could deal with this way. We could deal with this way. And there you go. We got boom, boom, boom. We got that tank set up. Things went well, and then the other player runs out of money and dies. That's what it kind of comes down to. So again, the big one that game, was scouting his third base. Like, we opened it, we scouted his initial build. We saw, okay, this guy looks defensive. There's no priority on rushing the gas really fast. Defensive player means we're fine. We can play standard as well. We don't have to worry about anything. We did our expansion timing standard as we normally do. But then when we confirmed our position in the game by going, oh, your third base isn't fully saturated yet, and ours is. That's amazing for Terran. So I feel in control of this game now. I feel like I'm great. It's a great spot. It's kind of what it develops into. That's how we read that game. It was something as simple as literally seeing his economy saturation compared to my economy saturation. You should always, like, that's how you should literally read if you're ahead or behind. Whose economy is more efficient? And are you good? But at the same time, it doesn't always, like, the one different, Jesus. My mouth is so fucking dry.
Not enough
Ugh, talking so much. The one differentiation is, we're not going to go too deep into this detail. Okay? So don't get confused right now. I don't want to confuse anybody. But the only difference would be if your opponent went for a stupidly greedy build, and that's why their economy was ahead of yours. Then sure, maybe that'd be harder to read. But that also comes down to, we would be able to tell he was doing something really greedy from the initial scout we had with like a Reaper being like, wow, you're really not doing standard shit. You're just going command center, command center. Okay, this guy's greedy as fuck. Things like that. Scouting is huge, guys. Once we get higher level in this game and we can understand how to macro properly without neglecting it, scouting is fucking huge then. Scouting is like the next most important thing in this game after initial macro. Because it gives us actual reads on the game to be like, this is a good or a bad idea before actually committing to it. Instead of being like, hindsight's 2020 and you're like, oh, that was a bad idea, damn. Ah, damn it.
Not enough minerals.
How does this build handle Roach Ravager? It seems like tanks can't handle Ravagers well. It's probably because you're putting your tanks in terrible spots. If you put your tanks have double the range of Corrosive Bile. Pretty much. So if you put your tank in a safe location where it can still shoot areas that will be attacked, but your tank is not like hugging the cliff, if you know he's going roaches, you'll be fine. Like if it was Roach Ravager, I would say put your tank like right there instead of right there. And you're good. Also, we didn't scout, so that's a mistake. I'm getting distracted, chat. Anyways, we'll forget about it. So we see a Zerg who's already mined enough for speed. The Zerg has already mined enough for speed. And he's got one drone on the gas, which means he's not going for any type of crazy ass all-in. But it does mean there's now a possibility in this game that I can be attacked by a speedling timing. That is very possible. So our future depots are still going to be built in the front of my base so that I can prepare for reducing surface area that I can get attacked from. Like this. We'll scout him again in like 30 seconds. And we're going Hellion first.
Unacceptable.
Now let's go scout him again right now. Just run into his base and see what we can see. We see a third queen. We see more drones. This is really reducing the fact that we feel like a... that's really reducing the chance of a speedling timing coming because he's making drones all day. That's totally fine with me. Doesn't really make us nervous then. And then our Reaper's still alive. We got it out. We're not trying to kill drones, guys. We're just macroing while we run into his base and then run out of his base. Okay, let's go ahead and start a third command center. This guy's attacking me. Let's get rid of the lings. Cool. That was a scout right there. Now let's send a Reaper back in.
Minerals. Not enough energy. Not enough minerals.
Layer has started now. One gas on the main. One gas on the natural. And we didn't see what that was, but this I would assume now. Let's send one Hellion this way. We're gonna the gas is still really light, guys. Because my Reaper died, I did want to see this. I would just want to confirm if he does or does not have a third base. So we shift move commanded our Reaper or our Hellion to go there and then come right back. Now let's get ready to start our next buildings, Armory and Engineering Bay. He does. It's not done yet either. His third is timed out, probably around the same time my third is. So this feels, once again, this is a good feeling as Terran. If I'm keeping up with the Zergan economy, this feels amazing.
Not enough minerals.
Let's go and lift my command center. Put some SCVs in this gas. And let's go ahead and also start another command center in just a second. Okay, he's not going to let me land it right now, so let's send our Hellions over there and clear it out. And now we're going into Thor Hellbat. Now the next energy we get for a scan, we're going to scan his layer, and we're just going to see, at the very least, if there's more gas taken, which might increase the chance of like Muta or some type of tech, or if he's just got no tech at all, no gas, and that will make me think he's going to stick to like maybe a cheaper gas costing composition, like it could be Roach Ling, Massling Bane, Spire. Perfect. So, missile turrets. Now since it's Spire, we're going to throw down a couple extra turrets. We're going to throw down one in our production. We're going to throw down one in the front of my base so my my tanks don't get just shit on. And we're going to throw down one in between my bases and one at my third base. Keep making SCVs. And we can also get building armor faster this game now than we normally do. The reason why? Getting building armor really early against someone who goes mutas is amazing because it makes mutas really, really crappy. And now lastly, let's make like one more turret down here because mutas are most likely going to come from the outsides of my base. So here is a very likely place. Here is not so likely because he'd have to go through my third then. And he'll get hit by Thors and turrets over there probably. Send some SCVs over to my third base. So this time now, if this guy does commit to mutas, we're not going to go high impact payload. We're going to leave. This is going to be the one time where we're going to leave them in explosive payload. And let's start adding on some. Let's add on another armory for upgrades, and let's start also adding on some more factories for more Thors. Go like 2 more factories. Okay. So he's actually not going Spire at all, he's going Roach Ravager. That's fine, we're just going to A-move. Siege my tank, A-move. Make him in Hellbat mode or Hellions too. Get my gases saturated.
Not enough.
I'm going to start making depots here. Let's unsiege one of my tanks and move it over so we can split our tanks up again in case that happens again.
Upgrade.
SCV count's almost done, guys. We're very close.
Add-on complete. Not enough minerals.
Scan his base one more time.
Mineral
Are you going for a fast hive? He is. So this looks like it's actually going to be for Broodlords.
Not enough.
So I'm going to scan one more time at his natural now. And he's going drones. I'm going to just throw down
Complete.
like 2 more tanks. Because there is no guarantee that he's going mutas right now. Like if he's going for a hive, okay? The idea of him going mutas sounds less likely. It just seems, it's not impossible, but it seems less likely. But I'm going to make a couple more tanks just in case this dude decides, you know what I'm going for? A fucking Roach Ravager timing again. We don't want to get screwed by that too hard.
Not enough minerals.
So we just increased our tank count a couple more. That's it. Let's also get upgrades. Smart servos and blue flame again. And look, he's going for exactly that. Let's go ahead and siege another tank. and A move him with my army.
Our SCVs
Keep making units.
are under attack. Not enough
And siege a
minerals.
tank. We can re-rally to my third base and fix this SCV count. Fix my mineral line saturation.
Mineral field depleted.
Now let's move a couple tanks forward, because that happened again. And now this
Not
time,
enough minerals.
we're gonna scan his base at around probably like 10:30. It's again gonna give us like 1 or 2 minutes of time between the last scan and the new one.
Upgrade.
And the goal is, we're looking for a Greater Spire. Is he actually committing to a Greater Spire? And is he?
Research.
Yes. Thors are a good choice now. Don't stop making Thors.
Hellbat coming through.
Upgrade complete.
And he's reset my army many times now, so I can't really it doesn't really matter that I am not adding on more factories yet, because I can't literally afford it yet. Like, we're still spending all of our money
Not enough
easily
minerals.
with our current setup.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
Hellbat.
Not enough minerals. Mineral field depleted.
Thor is here.
Okay, let's go and get a turret. Let's get a couple depot, or a couple gases, I mean.
Command center upgrade complete.
And
In the rear with the gear.
let's go ahead and send 2 Hellions out.
Talk to me.
Same thing as always. Scout, 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 scout.
Coming through.
Scout, 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 scout. Make a new command center. Let's plant the other one like over here.
Thor is here.
And now this, okay, he's attacking me with everything. A move my whole army up here. Hellbats, Thor, high impact payload. A move my army up here, this way. Once we get close, siege my tanks. Where are my tanks?
Mineral
Oh, there are 2 right there.
field depleted.
Make a new command center. Make like 4 more SCVs so we can fix our economy. Okay, siege my tanks.
Additional supply depots required.
Yeah, now we're getting maxed out to the point to where we're getting some extra money. So let's go ahead and actually start making some extra factories.
Yep.
Fix my economy over here.
In the rear with the gear.
Build new gases over here. Maybe build a turret over here as well.
Depleted.
Check really fast on my base count. Good. Good. Not good. Fix.
Go ahead.
This base should be fine. Fix that gas. And we're good.
Sure thing.
Okay, let's once again take a second. Grab a fucking Hellion.
I hear you.
Another Hellion. Do the same thing. He interrupted that process last time with that attack, so we're doing it again.
Mineral field depleted.
And make some more factories.
Bad news. Thor is here.
Command center upgrade complete.
Okay, we have 16 factories, guys. I think that's plenty.
You scared me.
Let's make some more command centers and orbitals now.
Mineral field.
No base, no base, no base. So most bases counts he's on now is 4, and there's the 4th base. So, or 5 actually, sorry. Let's go attack. Let's actually attack the closer one to the front of the top of the map. Seems like he favors this side anyways.
Got any extra firepower?
Okay, so let's scan ahead. Just see if he's still there. He is. Okay. So let's go ahead and move into his base. He's also got infestors, guys. Siege my tanks. He's coming. Scan him again. Let my army fight. Reactor. Tech, tech, tech. Reactor, reactor. Tech, 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 tech. Tech labs. Make Broodlord and... Or make Thors and stuff.
Not enough energy.
Sure thing. What's going on? In the rear with the gear.
Okay, everything is getting fixed. Now that we have a second, let's check our army again. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and just shove on us. We can't shove there because he's... Did he clear the minerals there? Did you? He did not, so we can't go up there.
Not enough energy.
Let's go ahead and
Mineral field.
attack
depleted.
over here.
Add-on.
Keep making shit.
Add-on.
And then every time we're maxed out and we have money we can't spend, let's make another orbital command.
In the rear with come and fight me.
Okay, we can attack there, shift A move there, shift A move there.
Complete.
We can scan once for killing creep too. Why not? Might as well kill the creep while we're here.
Vespine geyser exhausted. Command center upgrade complete.
Huh? I can't build here. Ah! You scared? Boy is here.
And then now we'd have to, like, you know, fix our main base too.
Mineral field depleted.
Definitely fix the main base. There's a lot of extra SCVs there. Send them all down here. Keep the economy running smoothly, and we're good to go, boys. And we good to go. Okay. Guys. Let's talk about this. Again, I don't think the way I'm playing this game should be that much of a struggle. Okay? I don't think that what I'm doing, because I'm seeing chat a little bit and it seems like people are getting crazy. I don't think the idea behind what we're doing is like too complicated to where it's like, shit, dude, you could not, there's no way. We're playing GM level right here. Like, I think that anyone is, again, the priorities we've been talking about from bronze, silver, gold, and now we're in plat. All the priorities up to this point, they still are they're still the exact same thing. It's just we're getting a little bit more efficient at them, a little bit more efficient at them, a little bit more efficient at them, because we're practicing it so many times. If you've only seen, if this is your first time seeing me do this, and you're like, I don't think I could do that. Literally, go back and watch bronze. Go back and watch. Like, I know you might have a lot of pride, and you might say I'm plat. I do not degrade me. I'm not bronze. Go watch it though, because what it'll do is it'll teach you habits. It'll teach you priorities. It'll take it in baby steps, getting back to fucking plat, and it's actually going to teach you good habits to develop to be able to do something like this and not go, this is complicated. It'll feel easier if you take it step by step from bronze, for like just incorporating one thing after another, like learning what is important. Then and now in plat, again, all we're really doing is we're trying to theoretically analyze what's important in the game, like what is our opponent doing and why is that important? Like, what does this mean? And, you know, going back and fast forward here, we are doing a standard opener of our own. We're going barracks, supply depot barracks with a gas, and then into a command center. This is very standard.
Command center upgrade.
This is a 1-racks expand build. It's very, very, very standard. We scout him with the Reaper. We see, okay, Zerg expanded. We also see, okay, Zerg has gas. And now you should do this, okay? You should click on the gas and go, how much, just get a ballpark. Be like, how much have you mined? Okay, he's mined over 100. That is around like 130 gas. So when we see he's mined like around 130 gas, and we also see the spawning pool is jiggling really hard. See how that spawning pool is jiggling? That means it is upgrading something. The spawning pool is way more chill than that if it's not upgrading something. But because it's like the water's freaking out, it's like fucking, it's whitewater rafting in the middle of that spawning pool. It's going crazy. That means there's an upgrade going on. Okay. I will show you what the pool looks like when the upgrade is over, and you can see the difference in a second. But we see one guy on gas, and we see a speedling. What this looks like is it is a speedling opener. All right. And now all we want to know really is this going to be a speedling opener into a 2-base type thing, or is this going to be like with aggression, or is this going to be a speedling opener into like a 3rd base with a macro game? So what's the immediate thing we do after? We run down to his 3rd base. When we get higher level, we'll attack drones and stuff like that. But again, for now, don't do that. It's just going to distract you more than it's going to help you. So we see no 3rd. So we're chilling now for a little bit. We're going to be like, all right, let's wait. Let's just, he might go for the tech route. Let's just use our Reaper again in a little bit and scout it again. Meanwhile, we're still doing our build. We got the 1-racks command center into double factory. We're going into Hellion tank. Standard, standard, standard. We're doing this all the time. And now we're like, okay, it's time to scout again. It's been a little while. We see multiple queens at its natural. We see a mineral line. And again, compare, guys. Let's compare. Zerg has what looks like about half saturation on this mineral line. It's about 8 drones, I would say. It doesn't have to be exact. It does not have to be exact. Because I know if you want to go for exacts, that's 9. You'd be like, oh, it's 9 drones. Doesn't have to be exact. But look at our emitter line compared to his emitter line. We have 2 SCVs. Now this is normal. This makes me feel like this is normal. Because Zerg always should be able to build up faster than Terran can. Because of the way larva inject works and the way larva works. You should never have identical numbers of drones to SCVs to drones. It just doesn't. It should not work like that. Okay? So, yeah. This looks normal to me. This looks like it's a standard game so far. Going further in, we can see 2 more queens. It was going kind of fast. We can see 2 more queens when we go in the main. Okay? So 2 queens in the natural, 2 queens in the main. He's still, and he's still making drones. What does this tell us? Also, no layer yet. This tells me this Zerg probably wants to focus on making, like, the queens are dual purpose. He wants to make the queens for the drone production. He also wants to make the queens for creep spread, most likely, because he's going to be able to defend his drones with this, and because he's not spending his larva on Zerglings, and because he's also not spending his larva on like anything else, like a roach timing or something weird like that, because he's also not really prioritizing the gas too hard anymore. This looks like a defensive opener. This is what this looks like. So this allows us to feel comfortable and confident that if we take a 3rd command center soon, that we're not going to just suddenly die. We're not going to be like, oh, and we're dead. It doesn't guarantee he might not attack. He might just be like, you know what I feel like doing? Making 20 lings. And we'll see what happens. That could happen. But if he does random crap like that, we'll be totally fine if we're automatically building the units that we're building, and nothing will really be scary. We'll be totally cool with that. The posture of his build looks defensive.
Add-on.
No layer, lots of queens. That's defensive for Zerg. Now, if there was a layer already almost done and he was still 2 bases with queens, I might be like, okay, this might be a fucking Nidus or something like that. But this is reinforcing that I should see a 3rd base really soon because there's multiple queens. And he's making drones. That looks like a 3rd base.
Our SCV.
He attacks us with Zerglings. Like literally, 4 lings came over. It was a scout. They just died easily to Hellions. We now scouted into his main. We saw a layer this time. And we didn't get to see what building that was. We didn't click it fast enough. But you can assume it's either a Baneling Nest or it's either one of 3 buildings. Baneling Nest, Evo Chamber, or a Roach Warren. Because, again, layer is not done yet. And those are the only things that are available to build right now that are not a spawning pool. And he's obviously not going to build 2 spawning pools. So what we do is we grab a Hellion because we really want to know about the 3rd. Is he taking a 3rd? Like, are you actually doing it? You should be. We just want to confirm this because this is going to let us know if we're ahead or behind. Because look at our 3rd. We're again going to compare. Our 3rd is like 60% of the way done and counting. How's his 3rd going? His 3rd is just barely faster than ours, but this feels really good. I'm just going to say this right now. If we match Zerg in expansion timings, that is nice as Terran. That feels great. Because Zerg doesn't want to be tied to Terran, as we said before. Zerg always wants to be ahead of Terran in economy. So that makes me feel like this position of this game now is a good position for me to be in. This is not uncomfortable at all. This feels nice. Now going forward, going faster here. We take our 3rd. We have tanks, we siege them, etc, etc, etc. We're doing all of our stuff. Easy peasy. Oh yeah, we the other thing too was we kind of missed it. We'll go back to it right here. This was right around the time when we took our 3rd base, and this is also around the time when his layer should be done now. This is like a minute or 2 minutes after we scouted the layer with our Reaper. So like more like 2 minutes later. So we're like, all right, well, what is he doing? What are you doing with your layer? Like, what's the plan here? We scan into the main, and we see the spire, and we also see the emphasis on the gas again. So this could very well be a muta build, and he might have been planning on doing that, but because we scouted it, he's like, no. This is exactly why we build these 2 buildings simultaneously. The Evo or the Engi Bay and the Armory. So now that we physically saw the spire, I'll just say this. Now that we saw the spire, I'm going to make turrets. But, and then the mutas are now going to be way easier to deal with because we're already making Thors and we're going into turrets now. For those of you that would be like, ViBE, what if you didn't see the spire? What would you do then? Like, how would you react? I would not make as many turrets as I do, but I would still at the very least make one turret per mineral line if I saw nothing. Because here's the thing. If I see a spire, here, the range of his build is over to spire. It's spire. That's what he's invested into now. It's a spire build. But if I would see, let's say I see a Hydra Den and a Lurker Den, or I see an Infestation Pit, or I see fucking, that's pretty much it for Zerg at Lair. You know what I mean? If I see something else, I might not feel as inclined to be like, okay, well now I'm worried about mutas because he's investing into something different. But if I see nothing, I could be like, well, anything's possible. So that could still mean there could be a spire like over here and with creep be getting shit out by an overlord. There could be a spire down here. There could be a spire right there. There could be a spire over here. Something could be happening. And even though I'm making Thors, that is also well-rounded either way for a spire. If I just make one turret, it's not going to really, at this point in time, it's not really going to hiccup my economy. Because I have plenty of money to work with at this stage. Because I have already 51 SCVs with mules as well. I could throw down 3 turrets and I'd be fine. And suddenly it makes mutas way harder to get damage done. It makes them way less effective. So if I saw nothing, I would still not make lots of turrets, but I would make at least 3 turrets. So, but again, because I saw the spire, I don't just make 3 turrets. I make turret, 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 turret. I make like 6 turrets because I make turrets in between my base. Because I don't want him to be able to abuse things like I'm going to kill your add-on, or I'm going to kill a depot or your tank, or I'm going to fly between your bases and get over here and maybe kill your armory. I don't want any of that to happen. So I make a couple decently placed turrets around my base that'll make mutas get smacked by a turret if they just kind of try and fly around my base. Which it reduces the amount of area he can attack me from, which makes it easier for Thors to get to areas to deal with them, because it limits the area mutas can go where Thors can focus and defend. You know what I mean? So that's how we would deal with that kind of situation either way. So again, we're still just producing as is. We're producing everything as normal. We don't know exactly what he's going for because he hasn't attacked us yet. It looks like he might go for Spire, but he shows up with Roach Ravager. He's like, nah, actually changed my mind. I'm going to Roach Ravager you instead. I don't want to go mutas anymore. So what do? We just reposition ourselves a little bit. We attack up to defend our third, and we siege our tanks. We go attack our third. This tank is still sieged here. It was already sieged before. We siege a new tank over here behind the third base. And suddenly, we get him out of here. We push him away. Overall, all said and done, we just got attacked by somebody who just did a Roach Ravager timing that was not small either. That was a decently sized army. And if we look at resources lost, we've both lost about the same. But what that also means, like a good thing that would feel great about this is that should make you feel like it's nice, is that a Zerg attacked us with a big juicy army. Okay, this is indirect scouting right here. Zerg attacked us with a pretty big juicy army. You can look at that army and be like, that's a lot of larva he spent on making army and not on drones. All right. Now, if he does that, and we don't really take any SCV losses, we take very little SCV losses. That makes me feel like we're in a good spot because the Zerg indirectly, it's like I indirectly killed drones. Instead of making drones, he made other things, and he doesn't get that time back to make drones. He has to make drones later now. And that army did not kill my SCVs. So when we're talking about an economy game, I feel like that puts me in a nice spot. It puts me in a good spot overall. Like, I feel nice about this position. Because, again, Terran does not need to be ahead to be ahead. Terran just needs to be similar, like equal, and then Terran is in a great spot. That's all it takes.
Upgrade complete.
And now we actually are ahead in terms of workers. That's amazing for Terran. That's awful for Zerg.
Add-on complete.
And then we scan him again just to confirm. We're like, how quick is his hive timing and what's going on here? It's been a couple minutes since we last scanned it. And we see a hive and still nothing really new. This is required for the hive, and a hive is on the way. So it's standard. Nothing too scary. This is what we kind of expected. But also the other thing too is this hive kind of makes me feel like he's less likely to go mutas. Because if he's going to go for a quicker hive now, instead of going for the resources, instead of going into a hive, is going to go into more mutas faster, it just seems like mutas are less likely. These two gas costing things, the hive and the infestation pit, could have been invested into mutas instead, to have a little bit more of a powerful muta timing if you wanted to do that. So the Ravager Roach timing and also the hive timing means mutas most likely are off the table. And then we scan his natural. We don't really see much there either, other than economy, but yeah, it's fine. And now he hits us again with another Roach Ravager timing. And I'm going to throw this out there. If we don't take damage, once again, the exact same thing it holds true to the last attack, to now this one, which is this Zerg is not droning really, really hard. He's doing these timings before he should have been fully droned. Roughly. And the reason why we also know this is that there's a chance for this is because he also delayed his third base by quite a bit. Like, we're not really expecting the Zerg to be rich as hell because he keeps doing these timings. And this is, again, we're basing this off of our build as well, and we're not even close to being maxed out. And if this Zerg was like no Spire, no Hive, no Infestation Pit, it was just a Roach Warren, and he was just going only Roach Ravager all game, I'd be more likely to say, okay, this guy could totally be maxed out, and he might be going for Roach Ravager timings over and over and over. But he is teching the in-game, which is more expensive, and simultaneously, he is doing attacks with these. This is his third attack of Roach Ravager.
Mineral field depleted.
And behind this, all we're doing is making SCVs again. Making those juicy SCVs. So even though we're losing SCVs, guys, this time around we're losing a bit of SCVs. It's not as impactful this time around. It's not as impactful this time around to lose SCVs because we already are fully saturated, which means it's way easier to recover what you lose the closer you are to the max saturation. If I were to lose 22 SCVs when I only have 30 SCVs, that's really hard to recover from. But if I lose 22 SCVs when I have 82 SCVs, it's really easy to recover from because for one, I have more command centers building them, and number two, I just have more money being thrown around that I can utilize. So after I lose 22 SCVs, and I had 82 to begin with, look at my SCV count again. Like, we're fucking still solid. We are still in a very strong position. It doesn't matter. Because we're making SCVs the whole time anyways.
Upgrade complete.
And now we scan him again, and this is once again a couple minutes after the last timing, and we're like, we saw you had a hive last time, which means you're probably going for a Greater Spire. We confirm it, which means my Thor composition is a great idea. It's good. Thors are good against Brood Lords. They're amazing. They're quite strong.
Command center upgrade. Mineral field. Base is under attack. Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted. Mineral field.
What should Zerg do against Thors?
Upgrade.
Right nowadays, I would say Lurkers are good. And now all we're doing is that same thing again, where we scout for future expansions, and this is going to set up our location to where we want to attack from. And now behind this, the last thing we look at here before we really commit to this, to watching this, at this stage, we can see how this army performs, and now that we're watching the replay. But what we did do at this point in the game was we scanned, we set up the fight, we sieged our tanks, and then we said, all right, fight is set up. There's not really a whole lot I can do at this stage because I'm not going to just stare at the fight and worry about microing my army. Instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to look at my expansions, look at my mineral lines, look at my SCV saturations, look at my production, make sure my add-ons are being built, take new production, fix up everything, make new command centers, infrastructure of build. We're producing more so that every future Remax is more efficient than the current one we just had. So here's what the army looks like when we fight. Our army's pretty good on a move.
Add-on complete.
Hell that. Coming through.
Link add-on. Command center mineral field depleted. Rescue command center upgrade complete.
There you go.
Field depleted.
Nice. Nice. So, again, another example of we're kind of understanding if we're ahead or behind in that game with logical ways of seeing things. Okay, we got another Zerg. Another Zerg. Another one. Okay, same shit again, boys. Same shit again. DBZ all day, pretty much.
Roger.
But the last two Zergs we played against played different styles, so there is different examples at least,
SCV ready.
which is good. Is it plat still? It is plat still, yeah.
Additional supply depots.
These platinum videos are taking a long time because it takes a long time to explain scouting.
Not enough minerals.
It takes a very long time to explain scouting and logic. So that's like part of like half of the video is explaining logic of why you do shit.
SCV ready.
Okay, guys, we're scouting his base.
Go
Yo,
ahead.
Stim Junkie Jet, thank you for the 100 bits. Oh yeah,
SCV ready.
thank you.
What's going on? You're the boss.
Expansion, nice, normal.
SCV
What's going on
ready.
here? He just started mining gas.
In the rear with the
This
gear.
build is very standard looking, nothing crazy.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
can shift move my SCV back out of his base. We'll come back again,
Yeah, big
or we'll come back with a
Not
Reaper.
enough minerals.
But his build so far looks very standard. This looks like hatch gas pool,
Yeah, yeah.
and nothing too crazy going on yet.
Go ahead. I can't build here.
Command center upgrade complete.
So now let's send a Reaper over to his base.
The Grim Reaper has a...
We can A move the drone. If he doesn't turn it around, we'll kill the drone.
Huh? SCV ready. What you want?
Okay. Okay, let's
SCV ready.
scout into his base again. See the hatcheries. We got drones being made. Cool. Go to his main.
You're the Reaper man.
3 drones still mining gas, or actually two. There's 2 drones mining gas.
Got something for
You can tell because there's some time in between when they turn in gas. As if it's 3, it should be turning in nonstop. So what that tells us is he still does have somewhat of a priority of mining gas. So there's something after
What's going on?
Speedling for Zergling. He still has some type of an emphasis for gas, and we see no third still.
Add-on.
So we'll go back in his base again in just a minute and try to get more of a read on that. What I would say most likely that's going to be is it's going to be Overlord speed when they do shit like that, because I just know how to. That's like a pro build. This guy looks like he might be emulating an opener of a pro build, but it's no good. Like you don't should never just assume shit like, oh, that's exactly what it is. You should still scout and still try to figure it out.
Not enough energy.
So we're going into his base. What are you doing? What are you still? Okay, you're going lair,
Add-on.
and you're going for Roach Warren. Okay, this could be a Nidus, guys. Totally could be a Nidus.
Agreed. On the way.
2 base layer builds with a Roach Warren. And look at the Overlord. This 100% could be a Nidus build.
Ready to raise some hell.
So now that we kind of have an idea that it's a Nidus build,
In the rear.
because why is he going to stay 2 bases? Why is he going layers so hard? Why is he not going for a third? What's the tech priority? And look at the Overlord placement. Let's go ahead and do this.
What's going on?
Let's go ahead and instead of taking our 3rd base this time, let's take a 3rd factory this time. Just 1 extra factory.
Ready to raise some.
Again, this is logical understanding of what we're fighting against.
SCV ready.
And let's give him a second. Let's give him a second to make up his mind as to like if he's gonna actually put a Nidus on my base or not. We're still gonna make a 3rd command center when we can afford it. It's just not rushing a 3rd command center.
Not enough energy.
So we're kind of really paying attention to the minimap right now, and also kind of around our base just to see when a Nidus goes starts building.
SCV ready. Ready to go.
Okay, now that we have 2 tanks, we can just siege them in separate spots.
Go ahead.
And he might not be Nidusing now because he feel like he should be by this point. So again, now we have a lot of money to work with. Let's just take a 3rd command center. And we can scan his base and see what's going on.
Add-on complete.
Spire. Sick.
SCV ready.
Let's go ahead and start these, and let's get ready to go into Thor. And again, we'll scan this again in about another minute, just to see if he keeps it. And if he does, we'll make turrets just like we did last time.
SCV ready.
Not enough energy.
Go ahead.
So you guys got to keep in mind that even though
SCV ready.
we took another factory and delayed our 3rd a little bit, it's still not bad because he delayed his 3rd really hard because he rushed a layer so fucking fast. And now that's with how fast that layer was and how late that Spire is, guaranteed he had an idea to Nidus me. That Spire wasn't his initial plan. The Overlord placement really seemed like it was a Nidus.
SCV ready.
Not enough minerals.
Will do.
Okay, let's make 1 turret in each mineral line.
In the rear with the gear.
Not enough minerals.
Huh?
Let's make a turret down here too.
Thing.
Now let's unsiege my tanks and move my army down to the south side, and we'll spread our tanks out in a nice way. Okay, let's make another
Not
command center.
enough minerals.
Speak up. Got no patience for sitting around.
Command center.
War is here.
And now let's scan his Spire. Do you keep it? Double Spire. He kept it. Okay. Now let's make more turrets because he's committed to it.
Hellbat coming through. Will Buttermouth SCV ready. It's your dime. Go ahead.
Not enough minerals.
Go ahead. Ah! You scared me.
Transfer my CVs around. And cool. We have a good read on what's happening now. Now let's one more time scan his 3rd. Look at my 3rd, look at his 3rd. His 3rd is not that great on the mineral line. We have about half saturation and full gas. Look at our 3rd. It's
SCV ready.
about the same as his. So what does that mean? It means we're ahead as Terran because you don't want to be tied with Terran.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
If we were to look at the replay right now with supply, we would probably have roughly around the same supply that he does. Roughly. Like, I bet the Zerg is probably somewhere in the range of like 130 to 150.
SCV ready. What's going on?
Let's get building armor again, as we talked about before against Mitas. It's
Mineral
really
field
nice.
depleted.
Bad news. SCV ready. Four is here.
Okay, we're fully saturated on 3 bases.
Mineral
And
field depleted.
their 4th is even getting fully saturated. Or I mean our main, rather.
SCV ready.
Mineral
Now let's get
field
the upgrades of Blue Flame and Smart Servos. And now we're starting to get more money than we can
Not
handle
enough.
again. And our SCV count is just about done, so that's no longer going to be a cost.
SCV ready.
Let's get ready to switch. Or not switch,
Not
but
enough
add in more
minerals.
production.
SCV
Grab another
ready.
SCV. Let's grab 2 SCVs.
Go ahead.
Grab a bunch of
Hell
SCVs.
that. Coming through.
Fully saturated 4th. What's his 4th look like?
Mineral field depleted.
Scan over here. My 4th, or sorry, his 4th, my 4th. Way ahead.
What's going on?
We are in a good spot. That's a very nice feeling right there.
Four is here.
Unacceptable landing zone. Command center.
Let's go
upgrade
ahead and start making
complete.
factories now, because we can afford it.
Ah, you scared me.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Well, butter. Hell that. Coming through.
Let's make like 2 more factories. 1 more actually. Well, we're gonna have a lot of money right now, because we're done making SCVs, guys.
Upgrade complete.
Okay, and then let's grab 2 Hellions and let's scan, or not scan, but scout the
Research
bases in
complete.
order.
Are you ready? SCV ready.
Upgrade complete.
We here. What's going
Grab
on?
some SCVs and send them to the new base.
I'm in a heap of trouble.
Command. We are at maximum supply.
Okay, and now I don't see any real other hidden bases, any like crazy greedy bases. Start my upgrades for 2, 3,
Upgrade complete.
couple reactors, and then all tech labs.
I'm in a heap of trouble.
And now there you go. That is literally one of his newest bases. Let's scan his base one more time in his main, and we can see what looks like brood lords are coming. And let's go for it. Smart, unsiege my tanks, hellbat my Hellions, and high impact payload my Thors.
Research.
We'll go back into explosive mode if it is actually
Four is here.
mutas, but I highly doubt they're mutas now.
Go ahead. Give up.
Our SCVs.
Okay, we
are
can
under
grab a
attack.
Thor and send it over here. It's sitting right here. Might as well.
Extra firepower.
Siege our tanks. Keep macroing. How many SCVs did we lose? We lost a couple. Keep macroing. Don't let that fall
Not
behind.
enough minerals.
We're fully producing. The army's gonna do whatever it's gonna do. It's already in the attack. And all my factories are currently being fully utilized, so all the extra money now will go into a few more factories again.
Mineral field depleted.
I can't build here.
We can drop some mules down over here.
It's heating up out here. SCV ready. I'm in deep.
Okay, so we lost our army. It's okay.
Not enough minerals. Not
He is
enough
using
minerals.
Vipers, and there also is a Greater Spire. So I'm feeling like there's probably not really a lot of potential here for more tanks, because Vipers are in play. Don't really want to be using a lot of tanks against a lot of Viper. So we're just going to keep making our current composition, which is Thor and Hellbat.
Not enough minerals.
Vibe's dead.
Our SCVs
You sure about
are
that?
under attack.
I don't think you respect the power of macro.
In motion.
I'm going to repair this command center. You'll keep mining minerals. Make one SCV go build a turret.
Scared me.
Make a planetary. And make a new command center.
Go ahead.
And we can start level 3 armor, because it just finished.
Hell that. Coming through.
Okay, and now get ready for the next timing, guys. We're still macroing, we're still keeping our base running. Now we're starting to get extra money as well. So let's, wait, are we getting attacked? Yes, we are. Go over here. Prepare the base.
Add-on.
My whole army's coming over this way.
Upgrade complete.
Okay, whatever's happening is happening. SCVs, fix the mining.
Command
Fix the
center
mining.
upgrade
Mine the minerals.
complete.
SCV count, we need to get like 6 more. Nice. Now let's A move his bases again. A move, shift, A move, shift, A move. Grab some SCVs, fix the economy. Boom. What about main? Good. Third base, fine. Fourth is fine. Let's drop new mules on the new base.
Mineral field completed.
Get ready to make a couple more orbitals over here. Scan the creep once, just to get rid of creep if we can. Because we're standing on it, might as well. And grab some SCVs. Keep it going. Keep macroing. Transfer some SCVs around. Let's go ahead and make a few more factories over here.
Command center upgrade.
We can scan creep one more time. Because our army moved a little bit. GG. Oh. Alright, we're going to times 4 this one the whole way through. Times 4 this one the whole way through. We'll try to just give you the gist again. So, scouting Zerg, okay? Going in. Okay, he expanded. Okay, he got a gas, he got a pool. Nice. This is pretty fucking standard. The fact that he has an expansion means we're not going to get hit by a 1-base Bane Bust or a 1-base Ravager all in. That is nice. That's a lot of breathing room for us to just play a standard opener so far. Coming back in with the Reaper. We kill a drone that was trying to kill our shit. It's not a big deal. We scout drones. We scout more gas being mined even after. That's something we want to keep note of. And then we also scout no third. So we know faster tech is still in play and also no third is in play, which means why are you still 2-basing me? What are you doing? We need to figure that out. We see a fast layer. We see a Roach Warren. This is a big sign if someone goes for lots of gas early on and they also, and now he's got another gas. He's still 2 bases. He's got another gas. He's fully going on 6 drones now with a Roach Warren. Look at this. Let's see if he builds a Nidus Worm. He's even going for more gas right now. He's actually not going to make a Nidus Worm. This looks like a Nidus build, but he chose not to do a Nidus. It looks very heavily like a Nidus though. Maybe he wanted it to look like a Nidus. Either way, this is low economy. This is not the greatest economy. Look at the economy right now. We're still tied with Zerg. This is not great for Zerg to be in. This is not a good position. Mules will crush Zerg this way pretty hard. So anyways, we're chilling. We're going to eventually scan his third base and see what's going down in Zergtown, and we're going to compare it to ours to see, you know, who's good in a good position and who's not. We see double Spire. So we have the turrets being thrown down in our base because this looks like a very aggressive Muta build. Once again, it's another Zerg who goes for Spires and he doesn't make Mutas because he gets scanned. And then we see a Zerg with a drone count that looks comparable to ours on our third when we scan him, which is once again reinforcing me. If you guys remember, I said around this time, Zerg should be between 130 and 150 supply. I said we're in a good spot because his economy looks like mine. He's actually lower than this, but I do think if he didn't have so much minerals here and gas, he could definitely be like 10 supply above where he is. So ballpark guess, we were pretty close right there. Because again, nothing has happened units lost wise to keep track of in their minds, but we do know we've been keeping up with him in workers, if not surpassing him in workers, and look at that's exactly what's happening. He's got 59 drones to our 75 SCVs and counting. It's not great. We scan his fourth base. Fourth base, look at this thing. It's got fucking like 8 drones on it. This is terrible. This is not good. Look at our fourth base. It's fully saturated. These are the moments when you're like, I'm way ahead. Yep, I feel good about this game. I know I'm in a great spot. And look at my supply. I'm going mech. I have a stronger army composition than he does. He has Roach, Viper, Muta, Hydra, Zergling versus Tank, Thor, Hellion. Just gonna throw it out there. Tank, Thor, Hellion will beat the shit out of that army, like usually. Unless you get really bad positioning. So we go out, we get ready to attack. We move forward, we go and we get so annoyed over there. But this fight happens. This is the first actual fight of the game, and we do it when we're basically maxed. So we're kind of pushing into spine crawlers. We're pushing into an awkward choke point with blinding cloud. That was actually about the best positioning he could have hoped for because my guys got stuck in a hallway with blinding cloud on. So that was nice for him. But even all said and done, my army is finally dying here. As the last unit that died. Look at the supply of the game right now. We're still fine. This is what happens if you have a good economy. We are still tied in supply. This is why when someone said Vibe's dead, and I was like, you underestimate the power of macro. Did you expect that I would be still, even after losing my army like that, I'm still 39 supply ahead of the Zerg. And counting. Now it's going even faster. We're almost maxed again. This is the kind of shit you learn in bronze, silver, gold. Platinum is a little bit more about scouting, but we're still using the same macro elements of bronze, silver, gold.
Base is under attack.
And now suddenly, that macro really just shows in because the next fight, the Vipers are not nearly as good if they're in the middle of nowhere. If he Blinding Clouds in the middle of open areas, Blinding Cloud isn't as effective because I can just walk out of it. When I'm getting Blinding Clouded in like a hallway, suddenly that's way more effective because I'm stuck there and I'm stuck being blind. So you can see that there was a difference of having a great attack or a great defensive position there with Blinding Cloud and having an awful engagement of Blinding Cloud here. Blinding Cloud actually didn't do shit here and he lost his whole army pretty badly. And now my Thors and Hellbats can't really be contested anymore and now the Zerg is dead. And a big reason of this is because the Zerg just doesn't have enough economy to contest this. He just can't make a new army. He can't max out. So he's a goner. He did. He did. And that's it. And that's all. So again, scouting economy timings is big to let us know if we're ahead or behind. And then economy timings is a big one. Comparing yours to theirs. And then also keeping track, a mental note of what you think he's going to attack you with, and then when those attacks do happen, how did it go? So again, keeping a mental note of what he's attacking you with is like going, okay, he's going to do this. Maybe this sounds like a good idea against that. You're trying to counter what he's doing a little bit. You're preparing a good army. Like, for instance, if I go, wow, this guy's going for a one base roach all in, I'm not going to say, you know what we should do? Make a fucking reactor first on my factory and go Hellions. No, because if he goes Roach Ravager all in and I have 4 Hellions that are like trying to fight off 3 Ravagers and 2 Roaches, I'm going to die. But instead, if I make like 2 Siege Tanks instead of 4 Hellions, because I go for a Tech Lab instead, and 3 Roaches and 2 Ravagers show up, and now 2 tanks are just pounding the fucking Roach Ravager, that's suddenly way better. And I'm like, well, that was a good call. Like, tank was the right choice here. Stuff like that. You just try to like scout what you see, like see what you scout and go, okay, what makes sense? Make a counter that sounds nice, and you know we're trying very hard to explain logical ways to counter things throughout this series. So stick with me if you don't know anything yet, and you should know some stuff by now. Like Blue Flame Hellions are great against Zerglings, tanks are great against Hydras, tanks are great against Banelings, Thors are really good if they don't get swarmed by Zerglings. Stuff like that. And then lastly, yeah, you just keep track of like how much shit dies when you do take fights with people. When people take fights with you, basically. So if someone attacks you and you go, okay, what your army supply looked like it was maybe. You don't have to, again, doesn't have to be exact. You just kind of have a rough guess. If someone shows up at your base with 30 Zerglings, and you say, okay, I just killed like 50 supply of Zerglings. Well, you're way off. You should try to probably get more well-versed in reading that kind of shit. But if someone attacks you with like 30 Zerglings and you say, oh, I just killed like 12 supply of Zerglings. I just killed 18 supply of Zerglings. That's fine. You're ballparking it. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's a good overall well-rounded guess. And for those of you who don't know, it's 15 supply. That's what it exactly is. But yeah, you just look at what you kill and you go, okay, cool. That was a decent chunk of supply. That was probably like 18. And then you kind of keep a mental note of that. Like it just makes you feel like, again, you don't have to remember 18 exactly. You just go, okay, there's a decent amount of shit that he's now missing. It's gone. He missed his drones now because of that, because while I'm making workers, he made army and I defended. Or you keep a mental note of if he fucks you up with it, then you go, okay, now I'm further behind, so maybe I need to be a little bit more cautious about how I take the next fight. Whatever, stuff like that. Anyways, I hope it helps you guys. Thank you very much for watching another Platinum video. I will see you guys in Platinum 1 for the conclusion to Platinum League. Subscribe if you liked it, and peace out.